welcome to episode 2 of Inside the A&M, the podcast where we break down what is going on in Alliance, Marlington, and Mount Union athletics. I am Nathan Smee, owner of SmeeSports. Over to the left side of me, a little ways down, Bryson McCord, Marlington quarterback and MSJ football commit. And joining us today, we have Alliance basketball player Henry Scheible. Henry, excited to have you along with us today. You're a sharp-shooting, three-point player. Excited to see what you can do on the podcast as our third man.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to get invited.
A lot of things going on around the city of Alliance since we last met. Starting off with Marlington's girls basketball team. Bryson, this might be a segment that you carry a good amount because you are in the building with a lot of these players, but they have won 4 straight. They play Alliance on Wednesday, a team that has not won yet. So presumptively, heading into February, a 5-game win streak. What changed?
I think they just have like a really good mentality right now. So like when I work out after school, and like they'll be in there sometimes, and just like the vibes like of them just like in there and just like being like, just like it feels like the entire team is just like together and like bonded, which is huge because like when you have like underclassmen that aren't like playing varsity, for them to even just like be involved, and it's not just like you don't play, like we don't care about you, like they're all together, they all feel like they have a good bond. I think that's played a good factor in why they're playing so good.
And they got hot at the right time, as we said, assuming they win that Alliance game. 5 straight wins heading into the game against New Philadelphia on senior night. Not only is that senior night, but that is the last game that technically matters of the regular season. The reason why? The playoff draw is February 2nd. So now, a team that was almost destined to go on the road, they might have a home game for the second straight year, and then going back even further, 3, 4, 5 years potentially.
Right, yeah. And just like the history of Marlington ladies, the Lady Dukes, their history the last couple of years of making it far in the playoffs and just having like that culture is huge going into playoffs. You see teams in all sports that, like right now, for the example, like the Chiefs, like they know how to win games. They just know how to win games, and I feel like that's the mentality around like with the Lady Dukes right now.
And as well, last year, their playoff loss was St. Vincent St. Mary, one of the best teams in the state for women's basketball. They are very well coached and just a very good team. So it'll be interesting to see where the committee ranks this Marlington team. It is a Max Preps ranking now, so the bias is out of it now, but we'll see what the computer says about those wins. Looking at their last 4, United 54-27, Minerva 44-34, Salem 50-46, and then Poland Seminary. That was the upset. That was the big one, as the Bulldogs are almost in double-digit wins, 42-24. They silenced a good offense. So the question is, where do you think they rank in the seedings?
I can't lie, I don't know much about other teams with girl basketball, but all I can say is I'm gonna take the Lady Dukes over anybody else.
I would not be surprised to see them in that 20 spot, and depending on divisions, I don't think Holy Name is in their division, but they could see that rematch potentially in Parma Heights this time, because Holy Name, they have had a good season. It's just their conference schedule has been way too much for them. On the contrary, Marlington, a good conference schedule, it's the out of conference that's killing them. So we could see that battle go once again, but either way, the Lady Dukes taking care of business. And speaking of taking care of business, we'll toss it over to Henry to talk about his boys. 6-2 on the year in EBC play. You guys have looked great. What's different between this year and last year?
I think this year, well, it's our head coach's second year, so it definitely settled in. And then all of us, besides Cam, have been here for 2 years now, so we're definitely a tight knit group now. It was right after basketball season last year when we lost in the playoffs in 4 overtimes. We just kind of decided from then on out we were just going to be a family and we were going to work together. And then all off season it was all of us in the gym and constant work, and it really brought us together, and it helps us to we work as a family and as a group, and it just gives us this like grit to us that I don't want to say the other teams didn't have, but it's definitely unique to us.
And with you guys being 6-2 in the conference and your only loss being against Carrollton twice, where does that put you guys right now in your mind? You have Minerva and Marlington left. What needs to go right for you guys to win? I know obviously some game plans have to go right for Carrollton's opponents, but what do you guys need to do independent of other teams?
I think that we just need to get these wins, and then, but I think it's depending on just us. We're gonna take it game by game, and we're gonna just play our roles. I mean, when we come together and play our roles and play correct, I like our chances versus anybody, to be honest. So I think that's all we need to do, and we need to just knock out these two teams and hope Carrollton gives one up.
And you guys have been a team known for battling against the odds. You guys went to Holy Name last year. You won that game, and that was really a launching pad as you guys made some waves in that playoffs, as you said, losing in a few overtimes. But this year, something feels different. You're going up against similar opponents to last year, but you are getting better. You have the trio of Federal League teams, and then Louisville, who you guys play on Saturday. While that game might not go to plan in the win column, what will be a successful game in your eyes, even if you guys don't get the win?
I mean, I'd love to get the win. It's in the same as every game, but just to continue to build on improving as individuals and improving as a team, come together in our losses and our wins, and just continue to fight, get ready for the playoffs.
That Saturday game should be a fun one. I will have the call over at Louisville, 7 p.m. tip on SmeeSports. Looking forward to seeing what you guys can do there. A very nice gymnasium at Louisville, so it'll be nice to go there for the first time. Bouncing over to the other side of the M in Mount Union.
I want to add to Alliance real quick, because I film every single Alliance game, and I'm just I feel like I'm on the team a little bit. But like even just like we joke around like me coming to be the point guard and stuff like that. But I feel like I could do. Not playing. But no, just like being around that team though, like from last year to this year, because I mean they put you guys out of it in the very beginning of the year, which, speaking from experience, that's a great feeling to have. It's like, obviously, like, you don't want to be talked down on, but like it adds that chip on your shoulder.
Underdog.
Right, underdog mentality. And I just like, from watching last year where you lost 4 starters, and those 4 starters were really good at basketball. But I feel like just like from last year, like watching those guys, first of all, no bench. You guys didn't really like rotate guys enough, and it was just the starters were on the court the entire game, it felt like. And then when we would sub kids in, they weren't making plays. But like with this year, like rotating 9 guys, right, 9-10 guys into a game, that's huge. And just the mentality, like just being around you guys, like I talked about in the last pod, that like against Marlington, I really thought it was gonna be a really closer game. I thought it was gonna be a better game because both teams were coming in hot for that game. But just being on the court, on like down there, and like hearing y'all and hearing them, and just like the whole, like just the energy that y'all bring into every single game is huge. And that's why, like, honestly, like I take a little bias. I go to the games a lot, but like at the same time, I go to Marlington. That's my rival. So like I'm not rooting for Alliance, but I take Alliance over a lot of people. And like especially how you guys played in the Fed games, like I just think like on paper I feel like last year's team might be better skill wise, but just the way you guys play basketball and the mentality you guys have, like I honestly just enjoy like watching Alliance basketball.
And I can agree with that. I feel you guys are very similar to a Bedford team, a team under new tutelage. This is year 1 with Jermaine as the head coach, but it's a lot of guys who are athletes opposed to skilled basketball players, but they come together and play as a group, and that is why they win games. Is that a comparison you like, or is there another team that you like to compare you guys against?
No, I like that comparison. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, we have I don't think we have a single guy in the locker room who is strictly a basketball player. You know, we have football players, track sprinters. We have a bunch of other guys, soccer players. Shout out Cole Pasco. But like we like we all come together, and I mean we all just have a love for the game that when we all get together, it's just different, and then we can bring the energy and we can play through it, and that's what's helped us to pull through a lot of close games and to upset some of these teams that we weren't supposed to beat.
And before we go to Mount Union, we'll move things around a little bit and bring in Marlington boys basketball, 10-6 on the year. But the big thing with them that we are yet to see is consistency. They started off really hot, then that Northwest game. They then lost the next two against West Branch and Canfield after that. 1-3, lost one, 1-1, lost one, 1-1, lost one, won their last two. They play Louisville tonight, a game that really should go to the Leopards if we're looking at that. And then Salem, that's a winnable game. How do they break out of that win-loss mentality?
It's a really good question. I think because there's been a lot of adversity with Marlington this year. Stuff I won't speak on, but I just feel like, I don't know, like talking to the players and they're like how I talk about Alliance, like how like they're just like super bonded together and just like they play well together. I just haven't really seen that at Marlington this year, and I feel like that brings consistency or inconsistency. Y'all got what I said, but no, but like that, just like, because I've only watched like 3 games, but just like, because I hear everything. I watch, like, I'll see highlights and stuff like that, and I get the info from everybody at school. But just like from the games I've watched and everything I've heard, I just think they're not, like, almost so they're not playing as a team, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, there's just a lot of inconsistency there, I feel like, and you know that's the reason I think they're win-loss.
And looking at the remainder of their schedule, I feel like it screams 3-3 to finish. That is just the way that I look at this. You have Louisville, Salem, Tusky Valley, Alliance, Canton South, and Garfield Community Learning Center. Don't sleep on Akron Garfield. They are a very talented team this year, and I believe at some point was ranked in the top 25 in NEO. But you have those games against Salem, Tusky Valley, and Canton South. Those are must-wins. And if you are the Dukes, your goal then is to take one off of Louisville, Garfield, or Alliance. And that Alliance one I feel like is the most realistic out of those 3 since that game is at their place.
Right, and I was just going to say, like Salem should be a win. I'm not really going to speak on the out-of-conference because I haven't really seen the other guys play. But I feel like the Dukes are going to take it at home against the Aviators. Can't lie. But just being in that arena with our fans, and then also like the community that Alliance brings to every game, like that's one of the big things. Like they're better on the road. Every road game you guys play, you guys bring a crowd every single time, and just the energy in that game. I feel like it could go. I feel like it's going to go Marlington's way, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Alliance comes to take it, especially with this guy transferring from Marlington. I know that's a big game for him, going back to your old grounds. Yeah, no, I still got the Dukes though, I can't lie. Sorry.
So I think, I think Alliance. I think we're gonna win, but let me just get that out there first of all. But I
hope so.
But the energy is the energy in that place is so it's so different because of how small the gym is. So it feels like we've had a couple packed out games here, a couple games where there's so many. You can look around and only see a couple seats, and we have a big gym. And when you're on the court and a big play happens and it's so loud in there, like the Northwest game when JR came down and got the buzzer beater. It was like I was in third person. I was just sitting there. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And so like it's like that feeling all the time in Alliance's or in Marlington's gym because the student section's right here. They're everybody's screaming. It's so loud. You can hear what they're saying. The free throw line's going to be difficult, but I'm ready to get in there and play, man. I've been dreaming of this moment, of that game for the last year and a half now. So there's nothing more I want than to get in that gym right now.
And Bryson, a question for you. You have clipped a lot of great statements in your day on your page. If Alliance wins, are you willing to clip your statement on Marlington's win and put that as the intro to their highlight tape?
That's a great. I might. No, I can't. I'll do it to myself. I'll give it to you. I really would, because I mean this would be the perfect clip for it too. Because I almost added someone else onto the previous highlight tape I made, but I didn't out of respect. But I mean it's me. It's me. So it's me. So yeah, no, I'll stand on that. I'll put myself, if Alliance wins, I will put myself in the mix.
And even if Marlington wins, you have to put that as the intro and just have the date in the top, have it go black and white with the old ESPN going back on their takes. You have to have that in there.
Yeah, no, I definitely, that's a really good idea. I'm glad you said that. I'll stand it. I'll do it.
And then just me going crazy in the background when Henry Scheible dunks on someone.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's
Maybe
the rivalry. It's the rivalry. You never know.
Maybe on the mini hoop.
As Marlington continues to take shots at Alliance here, we'll bounce over to Mount Union. Congrats are in order to head coach Susie Vanette of the women's basketball team. 300 career wins. For any coach to get that many in one place, I mean, that's special.
No, yeah, I agree. Any coach in any sport, in any field, to get 300 wins is crazy. I haven't been able to watch a lot of women's basketball for Mount this year, but I know they have some players. I mean, like Elizabeth Mason graduated while I was still there, and she's there playing. I know they got I can't think of what the point guard's name is. What's I'm gonna look it up.
Data Nash.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But my AAU coach's sister plays at Mount Union, and she has a strap. I can't think of what her name is. I'll look it up real quick. But I know that she has a strap. I saw a bunch of her highlights. So I mean they're a good team this year.
I would say I know Elizabeth. I haven't really watched any of their games, but from what I've heard, Marlington alum Chelsea Evidence, we talked about our last pod, and Elizabeth Mason has been balling, from what I'm hearing. But yeah, no, I think you said it was 200 wins? 300 wins? Yeah, no, for that accomplishment is huge.
And she almost got it against Baldwin Wallace. That game, it was so tough to see that finish. The way that Mount Union played, they got up to a 10-0 start against a top 25 team in the country to lose by 1 because of a foul. That was really tough because here's the stage. 10 seconds, Mount has the basketball. They inbound. It's loose. They send BW to the line as they have to foul, or they do foul in the process. They split the pair. Mount, they bobble the inbound, and that's the game. But they looked good in that contest. They held a BW offense to 46 points, who then dropped 80-plus on Marietta that next Saturday. So clearly there is a good team in there, but that was a complete team performance. Even though they didn't win that game, they showed progress. Yes, they looked good in the first couple of games when they dropped a ton of points on their opponents, but I like that game against BW a lot more because it showed them playing a more complete game. I can ask Henry on this one. In a game like that, say that was a rivalry game. I'm just going to throw out random teams. You play against a team that you beat by a lot in the early going of the season. You start off 1-0. Is that better than holding a very good, say, McKinley team to a 1-point game?
See, it's like a bittersweet feeling. It's like it's a feeling of accomplishment in the loss. You know, like you can learn something from this, and it shows who you are as a team, and how you held up against great competition, whether it's a close game or not. It depends on how you can rank that game. So if we lose to McKinley by 1 point, it's still a high ranking game. That's a good game. We enjoyed it. We played hard, fought, rather than going and blowing some team out by 40. It's just it is a better feeling. That's to answer your question. Yeah.
I mean, that team, they have a lot of talent there. It might take a couple of years for them to all get used to each other, but this year, with Day graduating, that will be a tough loss. But that team, it has depth, and that depth is very good. I mean, in the early goings of the year, we saw how many players, maybe even 20, get in one game just because any player that Vanette has brought in, she brought in for the fact that they can play no matter if they are the first name on the team sheet or they are the last person to get in.
Yeah, I've heard a lot. I was really talking to Bryson about this the other day, that their rotations are deep, and and that a lot of people were getting minutes, and that's what we're doing this year, and it's been working out great. I think it can be hit or miss sometimes, but the way that she's doing it, I mean, obviously she's 300 wins. She knows what she's doing as a coach. So,
looking at the men's side of basketball at Mount Union, things have gone well this season. Yes, they are number 2 currently in OAC play, but they have been dominant. I mean, we talked about it a little bit before filming. Their trip over to Vegas did not help things, but they learned a lot from there, and they have been a very good, consistent team, I would say, throughout this season.
Yeah, I've been going to a couple Mount games, of a handful this year, and as well, I worked out with a lot of Mount guys all summer, so I know that it's a good team, and obviously they've made deep runs the last couple of years, and I think that this year losing CG Colin Gurley was, I don't know if it was a setback, but I think it was expected. They knew that they were losing him, but it definitely, roles needed to be adjusted, and came out, and the starting lineups changed a little bit. My guy Chance is in there, and I mean, they're playing well. Every game that I've been to, or they've been pretty close here and there, and they're either taking off or they're battling to the end. I don't see these guys not playing hard the whole time. They're playing through, finishing games. I've seen 4 games now that have ended in the free throw battle, so it's good games.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna add to that, because the games I've watched for men's basketball for Mount, and I heard Chance speak on it the one day, and that's another thing I want to say is that Chance, being a true freshman, I mean, just doing his thing, making his way into the starting lineup. But with Mount, Mount is a great team. They're going to score the basketball. But one thing I know that they've wanted to work on, and the games that they've won, they've done good, is defense. And, the games they're winning, they're playing good defense. And the game they're losing, they're playing bad defense. They're always going to give you buckets, but really it's just been the defense that's been telling the games.
And that is what we saw a lot in the first game against Yeshiva. That game, a lot of growing pains. It was the backdoor cuts and then the random three-pointers when they guarded the backdoor cut. That is why they lost that game. But since then, they are a lot better of a team. And if you lose a game, it's okay. As long as you get better from that game and you work off of it, a loss can do wonders to a team. It could light a fire underneath them. We've seen that a number of times, even in the NFL. You'll see a team lose a game, and then all of a sudden they just roll on and potentially win out and make something happen in the playoffs. And I think that is what Mount Union can do. They were fired up after that John Carroll loss. I think the whole Mount Union community was, given the circumstances of that game. Whether that was a foul or not is really up for debate still. It was Izzy's decision. That is the decision he made, and that's the one they had to play with. In overtime, they just couldn't get the job done. But then they lost to Yeshiva. It lit that fire, and now they are right there with John Carroll for the regular season title. There's a chance we see that battle one final time for the OAC championship game, and I think looking at the gymnasiums, you might need a bigger venue to hold everyone who would want to be there.
Yeah, and that's one of the greatest things about sports too, is because for example, you got the Chiefs who just win every single year. No one wants to see that. No one wants to see that. It's how you respond to adversity, and it's great to see teams that take an L and just completely bounce back. And I myself am a Michigan fan, so I would like to say, first of all, you're welcome, because I feel like y'all don't lose to us. I don't think you guys won at all. But that's a perfect example though. You take a terrible L, the worst L you could take in your entire season, and then you go win the national championship. Just seeing how they responded to that, it responded to the adversity, that's huge, and it's a big part of what separates good teams from bad teams. Is how do you respond when you're at the low, when there's everything's against you, all the adversity. How do you respond to that? And that's what makes good teams from bad teams. And
looking at that loss to Michigan, you now hear coaches in post-game interviews talking about their season as Ohio State's playoff run. We've talked to Coach Ackerman after they beat Marlington, and he was basically describing his schedule of, this was my Tennessee, this was my Oregon, this is my Texas, and this is my Notre Dame. That is now a model that coaches use to work after losses.
Right, and as it should be, because once again, I'm a Michigan fan, but I'm not biased. Like, Ohio State was the best team in college football. Straight up they were. But it's just, like I said, how do you respond to the adversity? And almost like it needed to happen because, like, you need to be humbled a little bit. And losing a game that you should win, like, it's either there's two ways you're going to respond to it. And they responded the right way, and now they have rings on their fingers, so.
And going back to Mount Union, you've seen a lot of guys step up. JT, another guy off the bench, a true freshman. You have Elijah Farrington making a big statement this year. He's been really good. And a couple other guys getting a lot of game time, including some of the younger guys getting in late in games. What does that really say for this program going forward? Because you lose a guy like CP, who is the heart and soul of this team. He's your big man. Where do you go from there?
I think that losing Chris is going to be hard because they really rely on him down the stretch. But I think Feline knows what he's doing. He's had now after this year, all of the guys that went on that run, the national championship run will or the final two run will be gone. So he's done a good job of integrating new guys into the system and continuing to play Mount Union basketball. And I think he'll find that way too. Elijah's sophomore. He came off the bench last year, limited minutes, worked all summer, and then now he's starting and he's hooping. And I think that they have. They battle with injury as well. I think next year they should have everybody back from injury and more freshmen, maybe transfers. I think that they'll be fine. I think that Mount Union basketball will continue to be Mount Union basketball.
And from my standpoint, I see a lot of different teams in my broadcast coverage. We did all of the NEO Youth League Christmas Classic. There are guys that I see and then tell the players, like, this is a guy that can be a Mount Union player. And right now, there's only one guy Mount has brought in for this upcoming year. And usually the mentality is you replace who you lose. So there are still a couple of spots left open. And I'm looking around Cleveland and I'm like, if we can get a couple of these guys, this team could be back to that national championship game next year. There's just that much talent. I know obviously start counting a lot of great players, but you go to Cleveland, every left or right turn you make, all of a sudden you have another 3-star magically waiting in the wings to make something happen. I think you're going to see a lot more talent get into college basketball in these coming years, and that is going to be great for the game.
No, I completely agree, and especially at the D3 level, I think that a lot of these guys are, especially with the transfer portal and everything, a lot of these guys are choosing to go to play high-level D3 basketball, like Mount and the OAC plays, instead of going in and playing at these higher levels and possibly not being able to play or having to sit and stuff like that. They can come in and they can play right away. And Mount definitely has been great at recruiting, obviously, and I think that they're gonna add some more. But their bench is so deep that I believe they can still make a good push this year and next year, even with just the guys that they have.
Oh, for sure.
I wanted to add to that with the whole recruiting right now going on, because I think NIL is one of the biggest things that ever happened in college sports. And we were literally just talking about this before the pod, that you guys got Keller from Walsh's quarterback, who had three D1 offers and then committed to John Carroll the other day. Just how big playing time and money and just everything going on, anybody's going anywhere. And I love that, because it just makes every level of college even better. And having guys with that talent to be on a school like John Carroll and you see it, I don't know names, but obviously probably from the basketball side, I know Chance had a couple bigger offers and he ended up going to Mount. Just having guys like that because they want to go play, and obviously money plays a little bit of a factor to it too, but I just like where college sports is right now.
Yeah, and as well, we look at those commits. Frankie Trinetti, a great quarterback from Lake Catholic, was the quarterback under what would have been their best ever years if it wasn't for that Final Four run a few years back. He goes to BW. He's a tall, lanky quarterback, very similar to what JCU had last year, and that was their recipe for success. And as well, you're seeing these guys like a Maloney, like a Moten, have those D1 offers, but they prioritize playing the game they love than going D1 and having that tag, which is really a great switch up to the game.
Right, exactly. And because like at the end of the day, like it comes down to where like your education, money, and playing time. I mean, at least that was for me. Like, where am I going to get the best education at? Where am I not going to go be in debt after college where I can just go live my life? And then am I going to be playing there? What's the culture there? What's like, do I want to be there? So, and like for me, like I think I made a great decision, and I'm happy where I'm at or where I'm going to be at. But like I think that came in like with Keller, like John Carroll's a great football program, and they're leaving the OAC, so now you don't got to deal with Mount anymore. I always like to throw that because I don't like John Carroll, but like no, like that's huge though. Like I'm super happy for him. But like just that winning culture. They have a great education, and I think it fits his playing style a lot.
Bouncing over to men's volleyball, Mount Union's team, they're off to a good start this year. They had that win against Cal Lutheran in a reverse sweep. We mentioned that a little bit last time. So far in this homestand, 1-1. They swept Hiram and lost to UC Santa Cruz, who was ranked 13th in D3 in 4 sets. Mount Union is the first team that UC Santa Cruz has beaten, not by sweep. So that just says how good that team is. They have Teal tonight and Buffalo State on Friday. But are we starting to see a change in athletics? Are we starting to see these otherwise unsung sports become a little bit more sung, if you will?
Like, yeah, we were talking about this before the pod too. How like the EBC, I know they've been talking about getting men's volleyball for a while now, or for a couple of years, and I personally love it. Cause like I think back, like if men's volleyball, cause it's during this time too, so like I played football, so like I would have probably played men's volleyball or like lacrosse or something, like just cause like there's more options, and I think they're great sports, and they're fun to watch, and I've always just like. I'm open to new things, and but yeah, I feel like it's great for like conferences like the EBC and the littler schools, because like right now you see like lacrosse and like the bigger schools, but yeah, no, I would like personally like if the EBC got something, obviously if I could do it all over again, I would definitely like put my time into those sports.
And I think that we are going to see them very soon. Lacrosse is booming in the Cleveland area. You're seeing a lot more players go and play lacrosse. A lot of programs, they start off as club teams, not OHSAA recognized, but they still go and play some varsity teams. Like last year, Holy Name played North Ridgeville. North Ridgeville was a club team, but the guy who started Holy Name's program, he was the head coach. He knows what it takes to build a program, and once that makes its way to Stark County, I think not only the player interest will be there, but the media interest will be there too, because that's a big thing nowadays. If you are looking to play at the next level, if the media is not there, you have to hope that somehow a coach found you. The media is playing more and more of a role in high school sports. That could be a good thing, but also could be a bad thing. I know both of you are athletes. I'll toss it over to you for this one. If you see those sports get added, do you think that extra media coverage will be a good thing from the jump, or is that something that you'd hope holds off for a couple of years before you have established programs?
My initial reaction is to say I think it would be a good thing. I think the only way it could be bad is, I mean, starting off, you're probably a little rocky, and it's probably just sloppy. It's probably not normal. I mean, especially with sports, like just adding a sport into high school, like lacrosse or something like that. It's just different than being able to play it growing up through all the years, like a lot of teams have. So that could be one side of it. But I mean, media is the biggest way to get recruited now. So point blank, it's just if your name is out there, then college coaches can see you and perceive you and do that. Like that's like Bryson has done such a good job of just putting himself out there in the media and putting his highlight tapes out and reaching out to coaches and doing that. And it's almost like you have to do that now if you want to make it to the college level. It's not as much that people are just reaching out to you and stuff like that, unless you are highly taught talents, like especially to go to lower than D1. If you're not almost like like top 250 in your class, it's hard to do that. Nationally ranked, it's hard to go D1 unless you're constantly reaching out or you have good media exposure. So I think it's a great thing.
Right, and to build off that, like me personally, like just coming from we live in Alliance, Ohio. It's not really like the biggest place, and so like I always knew from a young age that I wanted to go play college ball, and that's always what I wanted to do, and I felt like I was talented enough for it, and just like that's the one advice I could say to anybody, and I like I've told Henry a million times, like I try to help him with his Twitter and everything, but and that's why I go film their games, just to get him exposure, because he deserves to play at the next level. But I think you just got to put yourself out there. That's the number one thing, especially like if you're not like at a school like the federal schools and stuff like that. It's hard. Like it's harder. Like coming from a D3 football program that shouldn't be D3, we should be D4, but just like barely made. I think we're the smallest D3 football school in Ohio, but just like coming from that and like knowing like I'm not a D1 guy, but like I know I can go play at the next level, just not at like not D1. But like yeah, that's like my biggest advice to everybody. Just like put yourself out there and they'll do wonders.
Yeah, and media presence is something I'm sure that almost every episode we're going to talk about, because we look at the Cleveland area, a lot more media coverage up there, but down here it's more newspaper based, which is definitely a stark contrast, because yes, there's still articles up north, but it's people like Keon Sports, who I work for, Believe Land Media, and they do stuff even down here, but it's different. You have to wait until you get that paper, basically, or a paper style article, and that's the coverage you get. It's definitely different, but any little bit helps, because the EBC, when I first came here, I'm not going to lie, I did not know that this conference existed. I knew that Alliance existed, I knew that Marlington existed, and then West Branch, I had only heard from one of the admissions counselors, but I believe he went there, and he was talking with another one of the people there about the Canfield-West Branch rivalry, and that's where I started to understand what was around here. But once I saw Minerva and those schools, I'm like, where's that at? But they're starting to get on the map a little bit more.
Yeah, that was actually one of my inspirations why I picked up a camera to do like freelance and everything, and just like because you're on Instagram and media, social media, and just like seeing like all this, like all the coverages on schools and stuff, and like EBC never got that up until 2 years ago. Like when I started my sophomore year for varsity, like we had no media coverage. I had zero, like the newspaper, but like nothing like, oh, we're getting pictures by like a company like Stragat Media or anything like that. Like we didn't have that up until recently. And but I feel like just exposure, like, and we have great athletes, I mean, from this conference, and they deserve to be on a platform as guys from like the Fed schools and Cleveland schools and stuff like that. So that was actually one of my inspirations of why like I picked up the camera and started doing games around here. But I just think it's a great thing.
I think especially in the Cleveland area, you see it a lot with just like NEO, with just like NEO. I mean, it's like it's a super big like national camp, and that's what it's most known for. But I mean, you see after these games, they're getting press conferences and stuff like that. They set it up in a way that it makes their players feel like they're the talent, and they are, but it's on the high school level. You don't see that unless it's at a nationally ranked school, and I like that they broadcast it like that, and it makes I mean, it definitely would help with confidence and everything, and it definitely helps with just exposure in general, like how they set it up, how they have mixes at every game, constant broadcasting, and then all that attention makes more people want to come, and now everybody's there. It's a big thing. All these different interviewers are there and things like that.
And then I want to add one more thing. I'm not gonna say names or anything, but like I remember being would have been my sophomore year. I worked out with one of my quarterback trainers, and I remember this kid. He was good, but he was a backup quarterback at a bigger school, and he had offers, and he never even, like, he wasn't in garbage time. And I just remember thinking like how is this kid better than me when I have film and I'm starting, but just because he's at a bigger school, he's getting more attention. And that's something that's like always kind of just stuck with me, is like and why like I put myself out there more, because like that kid, like I mean every game he plays in, even at garbage time, like he's exposed, like he's on TV. So what's like, just because of that, like that's, I feel like that shouldn't separate like why he's getting offers and why I wasn't, like just like an example like that. So I just feel like with the media, like around this area and smaller schools, like you just got to put yourself out there, and because I believe there's a lot of talent and it deserves to be recognized.
And the biggest misconception when it comes to media broadcasting games is that it takes attendance down. What I've noticed in my time at Holy Name especially, our numbers, they went up because of the broadcast. People saw what the schools have to offer and then come. So that is one of the things that's difficult down here of the schools. They don't want that. It's just, you have the live film, you have your huddle cam. You're not going to stop anyone from coming in and going to your press conference saying, we saw that at the Christmas Classic the last couple of years. My guy Rock for University, he had that last year, and that's why I was there covering the last two games of the 23 version. Last year in 24, we had Marshawn and Believeland there and HSLD doing all that kind of content. It made it feel like a very good competition, and even doing all the broadcasts, I got to see all 12 games. You saw this as more of a national competition. Obviously, the NEO Youth League Christmas Classic, that is one of the top 5, I would say, competitions. I think it's up there with the Chet Mason. Hopefully, we will have that next year. I think right now there's a very good chance I'm doing all the games with the Chet Mason, which is very good, as I'm looking forward to seeing some top talents there. But you have them flying to the hoop, and then the big one, the Play-by-Play Classic. Outside of those, the media coverage, it goes down a lot. And even out here, for video purposes, there's 2. There's basically 2, unless I'm forgetting someone, so I'm not going to name names just in case I am forgetting people. But there's basically 2 of us that do the games, and it's all concentrated at Marlington, basically. Straggett goes out to Carrollton more often than I do, and then I'm at Alliance more often than he is. Those 3 schools are covered. And then once you get West Branch in there, all of a sudden you have tons of viewers pour in. We saw that on 1022 with the game they did. And as well, if you look at the other channels, West Branch and Marlington, that was the best game I think Strackett's done basketball-wise this year, because those communities aren't getting coverage. And even on my channel, the 6900 we have for Warrensville Garfield, that's because the LEL is never covered. And you have top teams. That's why I'm going back on the 6th to do that game. It makes sense to do it because I know I'm going to show up, and by the time we go live, 200 people waiting in the queue just to be able to see that game. Yeah. If Alliance in this area can become a mini Cleveland, that has been my goal since coming down here. I mean, obviously growing the channel, when I stepped foot on campus, I think 85 subscribers, maybe 100. But now being at like 750, the goal becomes not only continuing that growth, but to turn this area into a mini Cleveland. I want to double the numbers that we have right now, because you go back to that Northwest game, 400 viewers for what was the best game arguably in the state that night. And that one just, it doesn't sit right with me, because you see players like you, Henry, you had a great game there. And people don't see it because it's like Alliance and Northwest, why does it matter? It does, because those are very good programs. And you look at it, even on social media with adding the all-ball team, you saw JR and Tristan get on there. It gives you something to work for, and it gives exposure to those schools. That's the media rant for the day, but I think it's a good thing, and I'm really hoping it doesn't become a brand deal thing in the future, because if that does, you're going to see less and less of it.
Right, and I've told you this before, but like I just truly respect like all the work and all the exposure you're giving us, because I mean we got some guys in the 330, like there's some dudes, and I think they deserve to be recognized just as much as a kid from Cleveland and in bigger areas. So I really respect that.
Yeah, I just want to say like you were the first person to ever come to one of my games and it be commentated on. And I just remember, we played that game. It was a fun game. JR JR was hooping. We played really well together as a team. And then the next morning I wake up and it's highlights of me and highlights of JR and highlights of and everybody, and that was just such a good feeling. It felt like oh, I'm being appreciated for all this time that I've spent working on this, and it just felt amazing, and I just appreciate everything you do for that, because I mean, like, it's not especially from here, like I've never had anything like that, so it was really nice, and it helped my confidence for sure.
Yeah, with those big games, it feels like it's more of a national game. And speaking of sports getting more and more media coverage, we'll bounce over to wrestling. Alliance, those of you who don't know, have some of the best programs here in the state. I mean, Alliance girls wrestling, they dominated Top Gun. The boys, they were able to beat West Branch on, I think that was Thursday, and that match was a tight one. If it wasn't for that personal foul in the second to last bout, West Branch could have tied it with a pin in the final one. Geiselman had other plans, clearly, as he had a big pin to end it off. But just talk about Alliance wrestling. I'm sure you heard a lot of it. I'm sure you're grateful to Top Gun for giving you a day off.
Well, we didn't even get a day off during Top Gun. We had to go play a game, but still, and then we had to go practice at the middle school. But it's great. I don't want a day off. But Top Gun is like, it's such a big thing, and it really helps the school with like revenue and everything, but just the wrestlers themselves. I mean, these dudes are working out all the time. Like, I mean, we're in the gym all the time too, but like, it's like they're there, we're there, they're in the wrestling room, and we see them all the time going to and from. And I mean, the girls are crazy. The Mazen twins they're dogs, and so is their older brother, and we got some dogs on the wrestling team too. Johnny, Bryce, Quinn, yeah. I mean, it just and it's fun. Like the fact that Top Gun's filmed here, or not filmed here, but held here and everything, and like it's fun to just go. I went before our game, sat there for a couple hours and just watched. I don't really understand wrestling. I don't really get the points, but it's like it's fun to watch. It is, and get to watch some of my guys and to cheer them on.
I would say I haven't really paid attention to like the whole like standings and everything for wrestling, but I mean, all I could add is just like the respect I have for wrestlers, like, because me personally, I probably would never wrestle. Like just the stuff like I see them go through at like Marlington, like in their little gym that they work out in, and like seeing them coming out throwing up and everything, and then they're in school, kids are shaving their head to drop weight, kids are starving themselves, they're like coming in like 2 pairs of pants on, and like just like all the stuff like they go through, and the workouts. Like I know kids that, like, one of my good friends went 2 days and quit, and like just like hearing everything and seeing everything, like I just have mad respect for them, because that's just it's a crazy sport.
And now another question with this is, how many wrestlers can Alliance send to the state tournament? We saw a lot of them at Top Gun. You mentioned a couple of them. Avery Horning in there. Yeah. Quinn Calic, I believe he won his 100th match. A lot of players could potentially make it to the state meet.
Yeah, I mean, we sent a lot of guys last year. Bryson went. He went to film. We sent, 4?
Mazen, Johnny, Mazen's sister, another girl. I think that might have been it.
I mean, regardless, we sent a bunch of people last year, and a lot of these guys are returners, so they're just expected to do even better. And from what I hear, everything's been really good with the program, and they're doing well. So hopefully, send more.
And Mazen won it all last year.
Yeah.
But Mazen won it last year, and they sent a bunch last year, and what Mazen and Jackson Eddy went to. That's his name. Yeah. Because they lost those two. I think they returned everybody else. So, I mean, they'll probably send more this time, because I mean all those kids were come back, and I know they have guys who should have made it last year and just barely missed it. So maybe more than I think it was 6 last time they had. They should be sending more maybe.
To close things out, I'm putting both of you on the spot. We're going to need a prediction here. Marlington girls basketball, Alliance boys basketball, Marlington boys basketball. What seed do they get in the playoffs when the rankings come out?
Lady Duke swing it all. No. Seed.
For reference, I think Marlington was around the 35 mark last year with 8 wins and a lot of out-of-conference losses.
The girls.
Yes.
Seed
You guys were
wise,
22, I think.
Yeah.
So seed wise, can't lie. I'm gonna throw you a random number. I'm gonna give them 38. I'm gonna give Lady Duke's 38. Is that out of proportion? I don't really know the rankings.
I'm going to say stay within the top 30 for them right now, the way they've been playing.
You said top 30.
I would say stay top 30.
Say top 30. I'll stand on 38. Oh wait, top 30. So you mean 30 low? Wait, no, I'm tweaking. Wait, okay,
Yes.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna give them 28 then. 28.
So from what we were talking about before, and a couple of the teams, you said they got some upsets, so that's probably gonna help them. I'd say anywhere from like 21 to 25 area probably.
I'm going to say 22 contingent on a victory against New Philadelphia. They lose their 25, but recency bias is big in the RPI rankings. That has always been a key factor. The teams that win down the stretch are given a little bit of bumps in the numbers, so I think that's where they're going to be. We'll toss it over to the boys' side of Marlington basketball. Where are they going to be ranked?
Before he says something, for rankings, I couldn't give you exact rank, but I would say I wouldn't put them out of it. I think they have some. Oh wait, that's true.
And keep in mind, this is for the, I think, regional rankings, not the overall state rankings.
Okay, wait. So give me what's the highest number?
So
that goes.
Like, out of the region, it would maybe be like.
I would say like 40 now.
Yeah.
40.
Close.
Because some teams will opt not to play.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say like 35, but yeah.
I'm gonna let you talk for. I can't lie.
I'm giving them. I mean, they haven't played much competition. They've acquired some hard losses that are not good in the rankings. So some bad teams, and so I'm thinking they're gonna be maybe low 30s. I'd give them like 35, 34.
I'm gonna agree. Or I'll give them. What'd you say? 35, 30, 34.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna one up you. Well, once they beat you, they'll move up. So I'd say probably like 28.
I'm sorry, I can't have a team in the 30s that has 10 wins. All right, I just can't put them there. I mean, obviously, you can argue quality of win. They're 10-6. I think they'll be 21. I have them high up here. I think that they're going to pull out some good victories right before it. And keep in mind, out of those last 6, one of the presumptive losses against Akron Garfield won't matter for the rankings. Their last game will be Canton South, and I think they will beat Canton South. If they do, they'll move up a little bit. And if they hold you guys to a good game, say it's a 5-point game, and you guys keep winning, because basically every time you win, you inadvertently help them because their loss looks a lot better on paper, so they move up a little bit. I put them at 21. And then finally, don't be too biased here, Henry. I know that's a little difficult for you, but Alliance boys, where do they rank? Keep in mind last year, I think they were 22.
So last year we won maybe 15 games, I want to say, maybe a little bit less.
You guys won 9.
9?
Including the playoffs. 9 and 15.
Yeah, 9 and 15, that's what it was. Okay. So
We were 15 and 9 when you played, actually after you beat us.
So we were 9 and 15. This year, as of right now, we're 10 and 5. We still have 7 more games before playoffs, maybe 8.
Oh yeah, we talked about this the other night.
Yeah.
So Minerva, Louisville, Canfield,
New Philly, Marlington, Howland, Perry. But out of the games that matter for the rankings, you have Minerva, Louisville, New Philadelphia, and Marlington. And then after the seeding comes out on the 9th, you go to Canfield, a very good team. You host Howland on Valentine's Day, and then you host Massillon Perry the next day.
Yeah. So Humbly, I think we're going to be in the top 10 for sure. That's all I'm going to say because I don't know how the rest of the season's going to finish out for sure, but hopefully top 10.
Right. And I'm not going to, because I wouldn't expect you to say anything else because you can't be like, oh yeah, we're gonna go 30 or something like you think you're gonna win every single game. That's how it's supposed to be. But no, I mean I wouldn't be surprised to see you go 10. I would put you at 10 or like realistic. I would say like 13, 14, 12, like, and it just all depends like how you guys are gonna finish out the season because I mean you guys got winnable games coming up to. I mean they're pretty good teams. I think. There's a really good shot of you guys winning those games, and you have 7 games left. You're 10-5 now. I would see you guys because we literally talked about this the other night, like your guys' schedule coming up. Maybe break 20 wins. I think you could break 20 wins. Wait, hold on. Oh, you said 10-5? No, I'm tweaking. I was thinking. Okay, I meant 15. I could see you breaking 15, 14, 13.
Yeah.
I think that
at least 13.
I think you guys will come in at 10. When we look at your losses, I mean, these are all top-tier teams. You have Carrollton twice, who's very good. And obviously, we saw what they did against Marlington last Friday, as they were just an insane team. I mean, 80 points, their best of the year. That was a tremendous performance. But you added in Warren G. Harding, Massillon Jackson, and McKinley. I mean, Harding alone, going up against Chaz Coleman when he is someone who could easily baptize anyone in that lane. As we saw that a couple of times when they took on Hawken at the Christmas Classic. They can play. McKinley, they have Reed. He just hit 1K points the same time that JR did. And then Jackson lost by 20. Your losses are very good, and that will bring you up. Looking at your quality wins, I mean, you have that Worcester game. You have Marlington. I feel like you can say they're a quality win based on their record. West Branch definitely does help in there. Northwest, a quality win because they've been good. And then Glen Oak in there. I think you guys will be a solid 10 who can win at least 2 playoff games. I think you guys can go far this year. You guys just have to make sure you look back at last year and see things from that point of view and make sure a team doesn't do that against you guys.
Yeah, I was thinking back to that G. Harding game because I completely forgot about that game. That was crazy. Those cats are different. Like, no, that was a dunk contest. I can't lie. But, like...
I mean, Chaz is a Penn State commit for a reason for football.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's sick. But, like, no, I remember going to that game and just being like, oh, my gosh. And, they, like, those games suck because you can't do anything about it. Like, you think... but what, you're 5'11", 6 foot. What's you doing against... I mean, that one cat's like 6'5", 6'4". He goes, you're sitting under the hoop, and he runs up at you. What are you going to do?
That's a business decision right there. That's a business decision.
You just got to get out the way. And then I remember Cam Burton, like, he literally ran out. Like, he just got out the way because he wasn't trying to be put on a poster. And then they started dogging him for it. But, like, what are you doing in that situation? And then, like, that's also, like, you guys play Louisville Saturday. Like, I feel like what'd you say? Win and die by the 3. Just make them shoot. Kind of like we did it with Jackson. But, like, Jackson, like, when you guys play Jackson, like...
They made him.
Jackson made literally, that one kid was 7 for 7 at one point. And...
Well, that was the same thing with the Warren G. Harding game. The goal was because they have Chaz. The goal was to stop Chaz, and then they lit it up. They shot their best all season from 3. They lit it up from 3. They hit like 13. It's kind of hard to stop a team when you give them the 3 and then they hit them. You know, right. That's when it's hard.
And that's what Hawken tried doing against them. And Hawken was leading in that game for a little while, and then Warren G. Harding's like, man, we came in from Youngstown. We'll just put an end to this, and that was the end of that pretty quick.
Yeah, and I feel like Saturday with Louisville, because, I mean, Louisville's a really, really good basketball team. And I just think, like you said, like, you got to make them shoot, and then, I mean, just pray they're not making their shots. And I feel like that's just the best chance you guys have. Not that you guys are not a good team, but Louisville they're just dogs.
Top 5 currently in NEO. I think NEO Zone has them at 3 right now. I think they have them just ahead of Richmond Heights, which obviously can change based on Friday's game. But the top 4 is Richmond Heights, Louisville, Ignatius, and Garfield. They have Ignatius at 1, but Garfield's number 1 in NEO. I hate to say it in that case, but Garfield Heights is just a different beast. So is Ignatius. That could be a 1A, 1B. But Alliance, I've been pushing for a while that you guys could be a top 25 team in NEO because you guys are still qualified as NEO. Every team in your conference except Carrollton does qualify for their rankings. So I would not be surprised to see you guys sneak in there or even sneak JR in a top 25 NEO players list.
Yeah, for sure. Kid's a dog. But I think, I mean, you see how far we've come. You see how far we've come this year, in just the work and everything. I think that next year, losing only me, I mean, there's nothing these kids can't do. Like I have full belief that they could make a real run in the playoffs. They could be top 25 easily. In that next year, it really will be. You can put any team in front of them, and they'll battle with them. It's not going to be. I'm sure it's not going to be, 22-0. But I think that they'll give a lot of teams way more fight than we have this year.
As well, it will help that those Federal League games return back here. One final question for you, Henry, before we sign off here, and then Bryson, I think, has something to say as well. You mentioned wanting to be recruited to play at the next level. If a college coach were to watch your film, what would you say the reason why they should recruit you is?
3 ball. No.
I think a big energy guy off the bench. I think as humbly as I can say it, I think I shoot the 3 ball pretty well. I'm definitely the leader on and off the court. I try to be. I mean, being the only senior in the locker room, it's like you have no real option. So, I mean, JR is obviously a big leader and a big help, but I'm kind of looked up to, and I've been trying to take the role on well. But yeah, mainly energy and just playing my role. Good 3-and-D player, I think.
I'm gonna add on to that. No, so I just think like to have a guy like Henry, and he's like I said with Zerd last week, that's a guy you want to have in your locker room. He's gonna give you 110%, literally 110% every single time. I mean, I see how this kid works, his mentality, and his mindset, and I mean, I just like if I was a college coach, I'm obviously pretty biased because that's my boy, but. No, I would want him on my roster, and I think he deserves the attention for from coaches, and I mean I'd want to have Henry Scheible on my basketball team.
Couldn't agree more with that statement. Henry, you've been a lot of fun to watch this season. Thank you again for joining us today. It was fun having you on, and hopefully this will be a start of a lineup, getting some special guests in, and maybe make Henry a permanent member of this team.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. This is a great idea. I like the podcast. I mean, regardless whether I'm here or not, I'm going to be watching every episode. So
that's what we love to hear. Bryson, any closing thoughts?
Dukes over Alliance. What's the date on that? Like February
7th.
February 7th, 2 days before my birthday. That's gonna be my birthday gift.
Marked on the calendar.
But yeah, no. In all realness, appreciate having Henry. And I've been happy to see Alliance play this year. Obviously, I'm a Duke for life, but and I would never root for Alliance. But it's been enjoyable. They're a really good basketball team, and I really appreciate the story of the whole underdog and everything. And they deserve what's been coming to them.
We'll do the social media roll call before we call it quits here. Follow me on Instagram at SmeeSports and on Twitter at SmeeFest2024. And as well, subscribe down below if you are watching on the SmeeSports YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell. Be notified when we go live, upload a video, you name it. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of May. If you're new, go down below, hit the subscribe. It costs nothing, and it greatly helps out the channel. Henry?
You can find me on Instagram at henry.scheible, and then my Twitter is just Henry Scheible.
Mine, my normal Instagram is just Bryson McCord, and then the zeros and O, and then my other Instagram for my photography is Bryson.prod with an X, replacing the O. And then my Twitter is Bryson McCord 4. That's it.
Henry and Bryson, thank you for your time today filming this. Obviously a longer episode. Right now the recording says 1:08. Thank you as well to our editor for taking the time to edit this long-winded episode. Hopefully this one will be out in the next couple of days. The last one received a lot of great feedback, and we are looking forward to episode 3. Thank you for watching Inside the A&M, and we will see you next time once again back here in A-Town.